For Bob and Sue, Bob seems to think that all men are created equal, while Sue feels that there are people in the world who can have higher statuses than others, or that some people are more entitled to certain things than others. High school can be used as an example that seniors have more rights than freshmen. Their communication will most likely not be on the same level since they have two different beliefs, unless they're able to communicate effectively without getting into arguments about their situation. Work and school could give them issues depending on what they are doing, and money may be the problem in this situation. Bob seems like he would agree with the verse Hebrews 13:5. Keep your life free from the love of money and the content, and be content with what you have. Going to NCU is one example using my beliefs, values, and norm. For my beliefs, it's typically assumed that I'm a Christian, meaning that I know that Jesus is my Savior and I'm going to heaven. And it has potential to show that I have good values as well. One way to describe living in the dorms at NCU is like we are our own little community. We have norms, shared expectations, and behaviors which can be used to describe the rules we live under. I know a lot of people that live at the dorms and go to school that feel like there's a sense of community, and we have grown up to know what is right and wrong, even though there are still incidents that happen as any community has. For example, there was an empty alcohol container found in the girls' lounge, and our consequence was that it was closed down until someone confessed. I'm not completely sure what happened to the person who confessed, but I'm guessing they got in more trouble or kicked out of the dorm. This can be used in bigger communities, such as the Amish. For example, if one girl gets pregnant out of wedlock, they are shunned, or in other words, kicked out. One way communication has been hard for me while trying to communicate with a different culture was when I was working in Alaska. I worked for a village school about 50 miles from my town, and I had to go out there once a week where I taught the student algebra and another geometry. The difference I had from working in Tok school, which was mainly white children, and Mentasta, which was a village school, was that every student I worked with in Mentasta was Alaska Native. It was hard communicating with students at first because almost all village schools are in bad shape, such as like the students don't do their homework. The parents are almost never home, and if they are, they're usually drunk, and they speak differently, and so like they're slurring their words. So instead of saying "what are you doing," they say "hut you're doing." And there's a couple other things that they say there, but that's the main one. And this was hard for me from coming to Eugene, Oregon, and working. I went to high school in Alaska, but after high school I worked in the village school, and that was just different for me to communicate effectively with the students and try to teach them what I needed to teach them. For the 5 dimensions of cultural patterns, for the first is activity. My parents have always told me to work hard in everything I do, whether it's a simple task like doing the dishes, or while working at a coffee shop, or going to college. They always have told me that working hard and doing your best is the one thing you can do, and if you failed, then you're able to feel proud because you tried your hardest. Social relations orientation, or relationships, has shown me a few things. Superiority to others. I was taught that to respect my elders, which means that I should always respect someone who is older than me, or my parents taught me that I should respect anyone, even if they are younger than me. And if they're rude to me, I should just be polite back to them and still respect them, which goes along with the golden rule: treat others like I'd want to be treated. For human nature, in high school, my volleyball coach taught me that there is always a reason for someone doing something wrong and not to judge them because you don't know what their life is like. One girl that was in my class that was my friend actually had some serious issues with lying, and it ended up involving the police with our class because she lied about something to me personally so seriously, and all the girls had to sit down and talk to the principal in our class, which was only like 7, but it turns out that she had some problems with her dad drinking in the past, and her mom told her to lie to cover up his mistakes, and that gave her an opening to tell more lies as life went on. And another example is that when students get kicked off a sports team for drug abuse, even though they choose to make that mistake doesn't mean they necessarily are a bad person. Good people can make mistakes because it's in our nature to sin, and I feel that there are always reasons behind why we sin in the first place. World orientation. One way I have seen this is life in Alaska. The natives there believe that the spirits in the northern lights and that people who've died come to protect them or see how they're doing when the northern lights are out. At first, this seems weird to me because I never thought of the northern lights in that way. I thought it was just something pretty. I still don't believe that there's spirits or anything in there, but I accept the Alaskan culture since it is their just customs to them, and it can actually be true. I mean, maybe it is. And last of all, time seems to be very important to most people because they always seem to be in a hurry with day-to-day life. Last time we had an example with the microwave, and they seem to speed life up, and they worry about what's going on happen next week or next month or even a year from now, and they're planning for all this stuff when it's so far away, and they don't even know if they're gonna live that long. Recently I've been trying to explain to my mom that I don't want to live my life worrying about what comes next because I need to focus on what's happening like right now in this moment, and I want to take it day to day and manage my time so that I'm able to go to school, work, and still be able to have a little bit of fun. Constantly thinking about what comes next in life stresses me out, and it just results in a very ugly mess. And one Bible verse that I think sums up time is Matthew 6:34, and it says, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own."